my voice or the way I engage will show you how much I'm passionate about the speech that I'm delivering, or how I'm able to connect with you all. All this can only be felt through my voice. But when you are in an offline setup, when you just go and address, people there, you are watched. You are literally being watched. You are at the center. You become, the hero or the heroine for that particular session, because people are watching you, what he or she is going to tell me. And remember, we are in the age of technology, in the age of AI, where people feel, or including myself, we feel that everything is in our phones. It's nothing new that this person is going to come and tell me as a speaker. So this mindset is already there. Even for students, it's all the more there. They feel that any topic taught to us, it's already there. I have people to explain to me. I have it's in my phone. The content is there. So it is a sense that when you literally go, you're, standing in front of the audience who are already equipped with that knowledge. They have access to that knowledge. If they go and click few videos, they're able to see that. So what are you going to really bring in? What is the difference you're going to make? What are you going to bring to the table? Maybe 10 years, 15 years back, the situation would have been different, because not all information was easily available. Maybe without the advent of internet, people will be looking only at their teacher for that kind of knowledge. But today, everything has changed. So when you are saying that this is the speaker who wants to come and deliver a speech, already there is a criticism, already there is a predetermined mindset available with the audience that, fine, what he or she is doing. Maybe they can turn into a critical mode. It's like we already know things like that, right? So as a speaker, you should not only be empowered with your, uh, empowered with the content that you're prepared. Remember, the content is all available. But along with the content, the confidence that you bring is what you really bring, and technology can't do that, right? So that's what people will be really looking for. With the content, the confidence that you bring in, and apart from that, the personal experience that you're going to share. So in my speeches, in my public speaking experiences, in whatever sessions I engage, I would always refer to my personal experience, because I know the content that I'm speaking is already available, but the experience that I've had is only mine. That can't be available, that can't be accessed anywhere. So when I intersperse that with personal experience, and then I say I deliver something which is valuable, where people can take a hint from that, people can learn a lesson from that. So for students, again, not just for students, especially I'm just focusing here because there are many students who have joined today. It express thoughts clearly. That is, communication skill helps students to express your thoughts, choosing the right words to communicate, using the tone, pauses, and gestures effectively, and engaging different audiences. And always our audience won't be the same. They will know they come from different background. So you need to tailor your speech according to that, manage your content according to that, and using the right words at the right time matters a lot. Good speakers will start developing, the words, or developing their language skill is very important. And we know we are in a world where we communicate in English. So even when we are going to an interview or when we are making any presentation, English language skill is more important. So as a literary scholar from literature background, I had to work on it. It's like there's no other way for me. I'm not a student of science or any other branch. So for me, literature was there. So I loved reading books. I love listening to speeches. Naturally, I have this liking for the English language, which is very well, it served in good stead for me when it came to communication skill and public speaking, because English is the language that we really communicate and use it to connect with people. Imagine for people with who are not into English background, they know the language, but they are not, they come from different subject backgrounds. For them, again, there might be a struggle if they don't work on their English language. They don't work on their fluency, the pronunciation, the way they connect with different words. So there, a lot of hard work, a lot of homework has to be done in learning the language properly, in taking classes or taking some additional steps to improvise on the language skills. And when I talk about language skills, it's like LSRW: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So basically, these four skills will help a person to get a comprehensive, holistic engagement with English language itself. So a good speaker is definitely a good reader. If you see, all these skills are connected. So if I say I'm a very good speaker, I'm a public speaker, and I don't read books at all, I don't have reading skill at all, it won't make sense. It won't make me a good speaker, because a speaker has to read extensively, has to engage with the language, with words, with vocabulary extensively. Same way, listening, as I told you in the beginning itself, is really important. A good speaker is also an excellent active listener, because the more you listen, You start observing people's ideas. You start understanding what they're trying to say. Apart from that, you start getting new words in your vocabulary list. You start adding. So I listen to people. I love listening to authors, favorite authors. I love listening to interviews. So every time you engage with this kind of a listening habit, listening space, you try to learn new words. You correct your pronunciation, the accent, right? So everything, the learning process actually happens through listening. And writing, definitely whatever goes inside, right? The more you read, the more you listen, the better you speak, the better you write. So reading and listening are literally feeding you the language that feeds you, the mode which feeds you inside, and then it comes as output in your speech and your writing. So I can't be a good speaker without a good listener and someone who reads properly. So here, communication skill, a good communicator can only become a good speaker, right? Because you are focused on how you're transferring your message, delivering your message. A good communication helps in classroom discussions for students, for people in the academic background. Students can enhance themselves in group projects if they're given any group work. I think, it plays communication plays an important role. Yes, in interviews, workplace collaboration. So all this needs communication. So a person who's able to communicate properly, who's able to communicate efficiently, will naturally become a good speaker, will naturally become a leader. So a powerful speaker is often seen as a leader and an influencer. So even in a class, as teachers, we'll always want to give responsibilities to one person who be very well in communicating, would be able to reach out to the other students. So we make them a team leader or a group leader or a project leader, right? So it's very natural. So when you are able to communicate efficiently, you are already into the successful path in your career trajectory or in your academic journey. So again, public speaking supports academic success by improving the presentation skills. So any presentation that you have to make in front of people, not just a student, but also when you go for an interview, definitely your presentation skills include your public speaking skills. It's not just the PPT that's there, also the way you explain those points and how you speak and how you capture the attention of the audience. Your research ability, critical thinking, and logical reasoning. So, whatever work you do, whatever research, the knowledge that you're really gathering, how are you going to really put it in front of people who are watching you? People might be students, people might be the person who's going to hire you, or it can just be a general platform where people are just want to listen to you. If you want to make yourself an expert in a particular field, you want to reach out to people, connect to people. Again, good communication skill, a good speaker, as a good person who's able to express his or her points convincingly and clearly. So for all this, language matters a lot. So every time I haven't mentioned that in the slide, but then it's understood that the language skills automatically help you to deliver a good performance, a good speech. Improves leadership and persuasion skills that I've already mentioned. So great leaders, great speakers, I think, observing any political parties or patterns will definitely help you to understand that, right? All political leaders who are trying to connect with your people, especially during the election campaign, we see how far they're able to connect with them only through the speech they make. They definitely work on their public speaking skills because it's like converting or turning the hearts of the people towards them, right? So influencing their opinions, inspiring people, leading teams, defending ideas logically. So you need to stand out if you want to be unique, if you want your ideas to reach out to people, if you want to make such progress, you need to have this speaking skill, public speaking skills. So that's very important. Speeches, yeah, we have leaders who have changed history because they would connect with people emotionally, intellectually. So the key words here is emotion and intellect. So these days, I think even in the teaching field, what I've learned as a teacher, as a professor, I learned that just delivering my lectures is not an intellectual journey. It's also an emotional journey. It's not just an intellectual labor that I do. If I'm just going to, deliver the lessons and focus on the marks, yes, that's all there as a part of the curriculum. I'm just going to take one topic, teach them. No, there's a lot of emotional work that has to go. Probably and explaining the students as to why this learning is really important for them in the long run, how it's going to help them, or trying to show that care along with the way I teach the content. So that emotionally, the students will start turning towards me as a teacher and understand, fine, ma'am is telling this because it's going to help us. It's going to help developing our skills. So if I'm going to teach this public speaking skill itself in a classroom setup, I need to bring in certain emotions for my audience. If my audience are going to be students, I need to ensure that they understand the need to learn the skill, not just it is a part of the curriculum. You need to learn. That's it. That this is because you need to clear your exams. And that's going to be, I understand clearing exams is important. But more than that, if I go and tell them how far it's going to help them in the future, why would they really want to need it? At least I'll have some responses in the audience because I'm able to make an emotional connection. So, depending on your audience, you should be able to connect with them emotionally. It's not just the intellectual part, it's also the emotional part. And that's why I mentioned about psychology of talking and connecting with people. So, again, a good public speaker, the skill developed is very important for your career advancement and employability. So, students have to take note of this, right? Because employers today look for people with excellent communication skills. They can really see the way you carry yourself with the confidence level, the presentation ability, because you might be leading team projects, you might have to present your projects, you might have to act as leaders, and you carry the brand of the company, you represent the company, right? So we need people who really speak well, who are able to communicate the brand for other people. Team leadership. So you see how leadership, influence, everything is connected with public speaking. Definitely, public speaking helps in job interviews. That's why I started this session with public speaking today, because it's an essential component in cracking interviews, corporate presentations. Once you get into the job, the work is not done. Sometimes we feel the skill is only necessary for securing a job, which is not right. Because you don't want to just stop being only an employer. You want to be an effective, you need to be an effective employee. So you need to work on your career continuously so that you get recognition. You don't always want to go with the crowd and say that, yes, I am one of the people working here. No, I'm just an employee. From just an employee, you need to become an efficient employee. Probably you'll be noted for the work that you do. You will stand out. You will be asked to represent the company. You'll be asked to give speeches. You will start traveling. This is how the exposure starts developing. For all this, public speaking skills help a lot. So when you make your presentations also, so remember, if you are in a corporate setup, you're expected to make presentation. Everyone would do a presentation. But if you are going to have an excellent communication skill, if you have developed that public speaking skill and you go and make a presentation, your presentation will stand out. People will notice you. Probably your higher authorities will start noticing you, and you might be picked up for another big assignment. And that's where you start climbing up the ladder of your career advance. Yes, entrepreneurship and networking. I think without networking these days we can't survive. As LinkedIn platforms and all, we know how we reach out to people. You need to communicate not just with your speaking. I'm saying even with proper, with your written communication also. How do you connect with people? How do you look forward to collaborate with people? So that's very important. It helps you to network. When you start speaking efficiently, you start attracting crowd, right? People would want to get connected with you. So a degree gets you an interview, but public speaking gets you the job. And training yourself in that skill makes yourself to advance in that job. You don't stand in that same position. Quickly you get promoted because your skills stand out. So developing critical thinking and creativity. Yes, critical thinking and creativity is something which is very much connected with public speaking skills. It helps you to organize ideas, because when you go for a speech, uh, you can't just go without a clear format. There should be coherence. There should be logical, arrangement of ideas, responding to questions. How do you respond to questions? And how to handle criticism maturely. Sometimes it's going to be audience might criticize for certain things that you say, but how do you deal with them? So all this is something you will start working on. Building social and networking skills. So speaking in public helps students to connect with people. So for students, yes, it's going to be a very good exercise in building connections, friendships, professional networking, improving interpersonal skills. And a confident speaker is definitely, you can see them not just, how would I say this? So if I'm encouraging a student to be a confident speaker, I'll definitely tell her to participate in events, not just, be confined to the walls of the classroom. Because the more events you participate, the more conferences you attend, you speak, you present your research papers, it'll be enhancing their knowledge and also their experience, right? Joining leadership clubs, representing the college. This is for students. Probably if you are in a working, you are a working professional, you can also check out how you can take some opportunities to enhance the skill, where you get some opportunity to really talk and communicate to people. So overcoming fear of public speaking. Remember, fear is natural. It's not that I would say no one will be scared at all, especially if it's going to be their first few years dealing with public speaking, dealing with public as a speaker. It's definitely going to be scary because, as I told you, just going and standing in front of people itself, there's a lot of anxiousness. But then repeatedly, you start practicing this. Only practice, we know practice makes man perfect. So the more practice you get, the more familiarization happens with that space, so called the speaker space, and you start trying to make yourself comfortable and you start connecting with the audience. So practice, preparation, good prepared speech will definitely build confidence for you. You know that you're prepared with the right content, you know your language is good, you're going to do a good job. Positive mindset, just that self belief, trusting in yourself, and starting with small audience. In the beginning it might be a bit overwhelming if you see like the entire hall with so many people, and then you have to go and give a speech. Probably you start with small audience, but again, it all depends on the situation you are really put into. But then make use of the opportunity. I know students who don't even who try to avoid this opportunity until the end. Very sadly, they never try and come up and actually give a speech at all. That's why we make certain seminar activities compulsory. We put some marks for that so that they'll come. Sometimes I know students will absent themselves on their seminar days because they're so scared to come and deliver that speech at all. Probably if I ask them to come and tell me in person, they'll just do a very good job. They show me the laptop and they can explain. But standing in front of the class would really scare them out. And unfortunately, there are few of them I know who never really used that space, never really used that college days to enhance this particular skill. But that's very important. Otherwise, when it comes to a job job market, you really don't have a chance to avoid that kind of situation. Maybe in college, students find certain reasons to do that. But when you go to a job interview, definitely you need to face people there, right? The presentation has to be made. Interviewer is going to question, so you can't really run away. So, in spite of all this, I know still students who are still struggling and they take up classes for public speaking. A lot of training goes in to improve their skill. So tips to improve the just this picture which puts in 8 points here. Preparing, practicing, having a positive mindset. Already I've explained that. Involving your audience. You see good speakers will always try to have an interactive session with your audience. So to make sure that the audience don't lose their interest, they also share their points and give them a place to share the feedback also. Mostly good speeches start with a story. If it's going to be you see great speakers always taking stories, using metaphors, quotes, songs sometimes, because that's how they try to make an impact, and they would be remembered in the minds of the audience. Be yourself, be natural, and ask for feedback, which is very important. Even as teacher, I've done that. I ensure that I take feedback from my students so that I know the lessons are delivered properly, and also the journey of learning happens both ways. It's always not just the speaker or the person keeps talking and the rest of them never get a chance to respond. So by allowing a space for feedback, the speaker knows where he or she stands, whether, especially in a teaching profession, it's all the more important to ensure that your students are traveling with you on the same page. Public speaking is not just a skill. Apart from a skill, it's a tool for success, leadership, confidence, and influence. I've been explaining that throughout. So, strengthens your personality. Remember, that's also another thing that we'll be focusing on, personality development. If you see, all the three topics are wonderfully connected. So, a good speaker has a good personality. He or she can't have a poor personality, right? Because if you're not confident with your own self, you won't be able to reach up to a level of a good speaker. So the more confidence level, it strengthens your personality, it strengthens you as a person, the way you carry yourself, improves career prospects. Again, a good speaker attracts audience, attracts people, networking opportunities will flow in. Confidence level, yes, and shapes future leaders. Who might know that as in college, if I see students who are really good speakers, they might enter into probably into different fields, making a lot of changes. They might end up becoming leaders of the future, or for influencing a lot of other people around them with their inspiring ideas. So, effective techniques to improve: prepare yourself well on the topic that's given to you. The more you start preparing, and the confidence level will raise and the fear level will come down. Purpose: understand the purpose behind the speech. Practice it a lot, so much so that you become comfortable with the content. Performance: again, the way you perform, you can do a self check in front of the mirror or with people who can be comfortable in giving you their suggestions, their feedback. Understand who your people will be, whom the audience will be. Understanding them is really important so that you can target your audience and use proper words and language to connect with them. Plan your speech. you should always have probably how you start the main part and then conclude. And personality. So be someone who's able to quickly connect and probably a friendly person. If you are in an offline setup, you can just, I can imagine I used to, when I address a lot of students in, when it's a club opening, or generally if they ask me, mostly I go for motivation speaking also, where I used to just, I become friendly. It's not that I'm a speaker, I know everything. So I just give them chance to interact with me. I smile, maybe I use some friendly humor, or try to share my experiences, so to give them that comfort level, right? So they know that this is my personality. It's not that I'm very rigid. I'm quite open to take in new ideas and see even what I can learn as a speaker from that experience. So knowing the content well, research your topic thoroughly. Research helps you to strengthen the content that you're going to deliver. Organize your ideas into introduction, body, and conclusion. There should be a proper way that you put in these, the content, so that you don't get confused as you deliver your presentation. Prepare key points instead of memorizing word for word. I think students would do that as teachers. We will know it's always looking into the PPT, reading out, or having a piece of paper and reading out. So if you're just going to read out, I think that doesn't make a speech at all. Maybe we can have certain key points to help us enable our speech, to facilitate the flow, but then everything should come naturally. The way you're prepared should be there in your head and delivered properly. Improving voice control, that's very important. Speaking clearly and at a steady pace, using pauses for emphasis, waiting people to respond or observe the content that you've delivered, tone variation to avoid monotony, right? So that you don't speak in one tone that people will end up sleeping. You should be able to bring in energy to your speech, passion to your speech. Work on pronunciation and articulation, how you really articulate your thoughts, the way you pronounce those words, the way you pack the words and put it out neatly for them, so that they remember particular sentences that you've told. Maybe even short sentences. You can even use quotes, stories. You need to think about interesting ways so that they will remember that particular speech or presentation that you make. Yes, starting with small audience, focusing on your message, not your fear, what you really want to deliver. You visualize a successful performance. That brings a lot of positive mindset. Don't worry that something will go wrong before you're giving out your public speech. You just visualize that you're there, you're just doing a really good job, and you've made an impactful presentation. And accept mistakes as a part of learning. No one is perfect, and definitely mistakes are there to help us understand, so that we don't repeat it the next time. So if mistakes happen, if you stumble or if you forget something, it's perfectly fine. We are all human. We make mistakes, right? And we can work on it to improve. So using effective body language is definitely an important part of in the life of a speaker, I would say. So in a hall where you are meeting like 100 people, there should be a proper eye contact. You can't just face one part of the group and just keep talking to them because you are comfortable. That doesn't really look well. It's always this one person versus many. But still, as a one speaker out there, standing at the center, standing at the podium, you should still be able to manage to look into everyone's eyes at least, so that people will feel at the hall that they're connected to you. So even as a teacher, that's more important. You don't look at one part of the classroom and you deliver your lecture. You look into the entire class, make everyone feel included. Stand straight, use natural gestures. Sometimes when you're passionate, your hand movements can be seen. You might be a little fast using your hands, but that's fine because that shows your connection with the content. So avoid nervous movements like fidgeting. Smile and appear approachable. As I told you, it's not that the speaker is someone who's very knowledgeable. Yeah, that's all there. But then bring in some humbleness to that particular point. Make sure that you bring in a friendly approach. So somewhere the audience will start connecting with you a lot. It's not that, especially with students, I learned this because with teachers, it's always that fear, or it's like, okay, she knows everything. It's just my duty to listen and take notes, or just listen without really reacting. Give them the space to respond, to observe the message and react. So engaging the audience, that's a huge challenge, and that's also an interesting part of public speaking. So you will have to manage the audience attention, asking questions or share relatable examples. So when you do that, you will be able to capture the attention for a long time. That stories, humor and all. Observe audience reaction and adjust your delivery. So if you feel you said something which doesn't make them comfortable, or you can feel that they're getting bored, you can quickly, this is an offline, you can really see their body language and tailor your presentation, change it accordingly. So expand your vocabulary and fluency. That's something that I've already mentioned. Working on English language skills, reading books, newspaper, listening to speeches. learning new words, practicing them, watching skilled speakers and imitate their style. Even if you don't want to imitate, if you keep watching them, you will know what really makes a powerful presentation. Managing fear, nervousness, doing some deep breathing exercises before speaking, making yourself, probably you can go into meditation, yoga. There are a lot of things available today to manage your emotions. Especially as a public speaker, it's always very strenuous, I would say. You're under stress, especially with the crowd. If it's overwhelming numbers in front of you, it puts in a lot of pressure. So you should be able to manage your emotions. Relaxing your muscles, arriving early to get comfortable with the stage, to get comfortable with the space given to you. So a lot of speaking platforms are available. You need to be proactive, take initiatives to join. As students, you can take initiatives to join different debates, seminars, competitions. That's how you grab the opportunity to familiarize yourself with your public speaking skills. So yeah, joining clubs, Toastmasters, volunteering to host events, give presentations. So if you are a subject matter expert, you can try to give a speech, or you can approach people who can give you a chance to be a resource person where you can go and deliver your knowledge. So all these things you can do it and just see how far you are able to master the skill, or where you really stand, so that you can start improving. So seeking feedback and improving, right? So asking your, for students, they can ask their teachers, friends, or mentors for feedback. So every time you give a speech, you can ask like, how was it? Where did I go wrong? So how did you feel? Could I have done that better? So which area was like really interesting? Which part was really interesting in my speech? So try to take the feedback, because that helps you to improvise. Work on your weaknesses step by step. Remember, you can't have a sudden improvement, it has to come gradually. So track progress over time. So not perfection, but progress over perfection, right? So maybe in 6 months you do all the little things, that the tips or suggestions that I've given, probably taking 15 minutes for reading, 15 minutes for listening, at least half an hour every day for reading and listening, and see how much that is changing the way you use your language. And maybe 15 minutes to practice any topic. You can just give yourself a topic and see how you're able to talk about the topic without really struggling. So practice impromptu speaking. Yeah, that's what I was, trying to say. Choose random topics, speak for 2 minutes, record yourselves. Probably you can use your phone, give a topic and just talk about it. 2 minutes you can record, and then listen to the recording to know how you're pronouncing certain words, to know how you're articulating your thoughts. So this will be a very good self check, self practice. So again, your thinking and confidence. Remember, we are all not native speakers of English language, right? We are from mostly we have different mother tongue. So we need to think. We don't really think in English, but we think in our mother tongue, translate it, and then we deliver the content. So a lot of things happens in our mind. So there are times we go wrong. There are times we struggle with using perfect words, right? Translation issues, yes. So the more you engage with English language, every day, giving time for reading and listening, you will start learning new words. So your vocabulary will enrich, and that will be reflected in the way you talk. Probably your talking exercise that you give to yourself, this impromptu speaking, as I've told you. So you can check as to how you're able to deliver the content. Are you able to use the right words? Is there any way you're struggling to use the proper word? Or you want to go and check online and see which word has to be used for that thing that you're really trying to struggle with. So all this can be done. A lot of self-check. So every day, half an hour to 45 minutes. I know if it's too much with your busy schedule, at least 15 to 20 minutes to work on your skill will help you in the long run. It will definitely give you a gradual improvement, which you can see for yourself. And meanwhile, also taking an opportunity to participate, or grabbing opportunities that will give you a chance to work on your public speaking skills is very important. So with this, I'm coming to the end. I'm almost done with the presentation. So yes, if you can speak, you can influence. If you can influence, you can change lives. So if I mean speaking, it's not just speaking the ideas or the content, the knowledge that you have. Of course, that is there, but also connecting with people in the little amount of time that is given to you. How you connect with them, both on an intellectual level and on an emotional level. So I would want to emphasize that again. So yes, that will make you an influencer. That will make you a person who will inspire people. And then if you can inspire or influence people, you are about to change lives. And all of us want to be change makers, right? As a teacher, I felt that if I'm able to deliver a powerful presentation, if I'm able to deliver a good lecture, I can see the changes from my students' side. They really observe that, they show interest in learning, and that changes the way they approach the subject. In some way, that's helping them to advance in their learning journey. And definitely, that's in one way going to change their lives, their future as well. So, not in big ways, at least starting out in little ways. So, I've just given very few suggestions, but there are many things. I think you have a lot of help that's coming from technology these days. So you can even make use of apps that would help you to work on your language. I really am not a very big fan of, of course, I do take the help of technology, but then somewhere I'm into the old school where I pick newspapers, personally, I'm sharing my own experiences. I ensure that I read autobiographies, biographies, any genre that interests you. Book reading is very important. So I've marked the words that are new to me. I enrich my vocabulary by learning the meaning, by learning the pronunciation, how it is used. I ensure that I use it in my sessions also. And I have my favorite set of speakers. I love to listen to conferences, to authors' interviews. So, you should be having your own interest in how you are going to approach the language. Probably you want to just listen to speeches or you want to listen to interviews. So, who will be your favorite speaker? So, you can have your own list that you can really work on, but ensure it's done on a daily basis because consistency is very important. So if you do it consistently, you can see how you are observing the language into your own system, right? Probably you will start using some different words instead of using the same old words that you've been using. You'll start using some unique words to express a certain feeling or certain emotion. So yes, a lot of synonyms, learning them is very important. But the more you engage yourself with the language, it helps a lot. So with that, I just stop the session. Thank you so much for your time and patience. And thank you, Usha ma'am, for the opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Yes, yes. Now, it's not just only for students. Apart from students, if there are faculty members, teachers, I give myself homework. So it's like, it's not homework in the sense, not student, way of thinking, but every day it's a work on our own selves, improving our own self. That's what I would say. Yes, yes, yes.